Hey everybody, Scroft here. Welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all doing really well and having a good day. It is Friday, so that means one thing. We've got some more Farming Simulator 25 fact sheets to have a look at and go through. Now, I didn't do a video last time on fact sheets. I actually just put a post out, but I've got a few things that I didn't talk about, and I thought we'd do a bit of an FS25 update. I had a few days off after working really hard on the farmland and all that stuff. I had a couple of days away, but I'm glad to get back into the swing of things before I start recording that again. But yeah, let's have a quick look at these. So the first one I'm going to show you now is actually a DLC content one, and it is the McDon M1 240 and the D140XL, which is the header. Now this is for swathing. So we're going to go through these. Now, originally I thought that was an arrow there, that white thing. For some reason I thought it was an arrow, but it is part of that header. I'm actually looking forward to trying out swathing. I've not really done it in FS22. I know it's a mod that we can use in some maps. It's kind of like inbuilt into them maps. But I am interested to try this out. Again, though, this is the DLC content. I think you can probably purchase it when the game comes out, but it is included in the pre-order. So if you've pre-ordered the game, you will get this free, but it's probably going to be a couple of quid, £3 or something on Giant's website or on Steam or whatever, because I know they did that last time when FS22 released. But it looks pretty good. It just reminds me of some of the mowers that we've seen as mods. A few really good mods on ModHub that are like John Deere mowers that are like that. I know they're more common in the US to use as mowers, but it reminds me just of that. But it's a new piece of kit to me that I'm looking forward to trying out. The swathing should be interesting to do because there's no threshing. We're literally just chopping the crop and putting it down in a swath, whereas normally the harvester would take that kind of through the system and thresh it out, separating that kind of grain. So it's interesting to see what happens then when we pick it up. Do we get an increased yield? Because I think that's probably the positive of using a swather over just a standard harvester, that we shouldn't have as much losses. So we're going to be picking it up off the ground with the tool that we can attach to the harvester, a bit like a forage harvester does when you get contractors coming in for grass. So I imagine it's going to work like that. I'm hoping the benefit of doing it this way, because technically you are working harder to do this. You're going to be going over the field twice whilst harvesting. I'm hoping the benefit is that we either get more straw or more yield in total with the grain you're doing. But we'll find out when we get into the game. I'm so excited for FS25 though. Really am. Some really good stuff coming to it. I will say it now, I'm not fussed at all about the twisters. I have to be honest. It's not something I'm kind of like focusing on, or I'm just putting that to one side. I'm more looking forward to the hail and the improved rain visuals and all that stuff. But the twisters aren't a thing for me, to be honest. We've got some proper details now about the McDon M1 240. You can see it's classed as a windrower, 170,000 euros, pounds, dollars, depending on what currency you're playing in. 173 horsepower up to 262. So we do have the options to change the engine size within that piece of kit. CVT variable. Basically, if you're playing with manual gearbox on PC or whatever, that's probably going to be interesting for you. But most people probably aren't using that. We use a steering wheel, but maybe not maybe we're not going all the way with the actual gearbox and everything. Holds a lot of fuel though. 518 litres is a lot. And it can go up to 27 miles an hour, but its working speed is 9 miles an hour. So keep that in mind, that when you're actually attached to the header and you're working, it's 9 miles an hour. So the header itself is 97,000. That is pretty hefty, but it's got a good width on it. 12.2 meters is good. Now, if we zoom in, because the thing I'm interested in is what's this swather going to work on. Now, it looks like it's going to work on wheat, barley, oats, OSR, or canola as we call it in Farming Simulator, and it looks like soybeans as well there. So I do like that new symbol for soybeans. I think it definitely suits the crop type. Usually it's a green colour, but when it's ready to harvest soybeans, it goes quite dry looking. So I do prefer that they've kind of changed it to a yellow colour there. Right, so let's move on to the next piece of kit. We've got the Case AF11 and the 4418N, which is obviously the Case header that's on here. First thing I want to look at, though, here that stands out to me is I don't know if I've seen the corn textures in FS25 yet. Now, I'm comparing these to Benji's corn textures because they set the standard for me. When he released them corn textures for FS22, they are unbelievable. They really are really good, and they're quite dense and full. But now with us having double-sided rendering, dropping the older generation of console, going into Farming Simulator 25, we should get more dense crops anyway, so I'm not too fussed about that. But I'm trying to look at this now. It's really difficult to tell because We've not seen it in the stages before. The stages for maize, not for the actual corn. We're obviously harvesting corn here for that purpose, whereas you can obviously make chaff, and depending on what's in the game, who knows, you might be able to make maize silage. I doubt it. We've not heard anything yet, but potentially we could. But you usually try and chop maize or corn a little bit earlier if you're doing that. So it's still quite green, but you can see that it's drying out. But it looks like a good texture. I like it. The ground, not too sure about. It does look all right, but I think the actual texture of corn itself looks to be a big improvement. I think with it being, because corn's such a full crop when you see it in a field, you can't really see through it, can you? So I like the fact that we're getting a more dense crop there, and the texture looks pretty good. But the harvester is pretty standard for me. I think it's not like it looks way better than FS22, I'll be honest, but it doesn't look, anywhere near worse. It is an improvement on the visuals. You can see that clear coat shine that we've been on about previously that they've put into the game. And yeah, I'm kind of looking at dirt textures and things like that, but I've not seen anything that's obviously not picked up any dirt yet on this case. Things like that is what I'm trying to focus on now. I want to see the textures and the dirt pick up and stuff like that. I'm not really seeing much of the tyre build up as well. We've heard quite a bit about how the tyres are going to pick up mud and stuff, but not really seeing too much of that on any screenshots or anything. So it's a bit of a weird one. Why? Because I think that's a really good thing to add in. So I'm hoping that we see some of that in action. I don't know if it's just because it's supposed to be wet weather or rain or stuff, but yeah, it's interesting to see if we can point that out on any pictures, that we get on these Fact Sheet Fridays, and any more information we get from Giants as well. But overall, really happy with it. Looks good. Probably going to use this quite a lot. I do like a case. I do like to go with New Holland or Class though when it comes to harvesters, but I think that's just because it's more common in the US. But I do like a case harvester. All right, so let's have a look at the big one here. The price. 775 horsepower, massive. CVT, 740 squids or dollars or whatever you're using. 1,500 litres of fuel. It can hold 20,000 litres of grain or any grain type you're holding. So it would have been corn with this, but that is a lot. That's a big harvester. That's one of the end game kind of goals, to get a harvester out with it costing $750,000. It can run 18 miles per hour when it's not obviously working in the field. And if we have a look at the harvester, it can do a 6 mile an hour working speed with the header attached. Now the header is actually 10 meters, so we've seen bigger than that, but it is a corn header. So usually they aren't as big, are they? So I'd say 10 meters for a corn header is well up there. That's not too bad. £88,000 for that corn header. You can see it to sunflowers and corn like we'd expect to see. We've seen that in previous versions. And yeah, 6 miles an hour. 10 meters, not too bad. Right, so let's move on. We're on to the Condor Endurance by AgriFac. By AgriFac. That is so close to a word you don't want to be saying, AgriFac. I mean, YouTube, be kind to me on that one. That's not my fault, right? That's their fault. I mean, I've got to find a better way of saying that. But yeah, it's that company, and it's the Condor Endurance 2. Looking at the piece of kit, it's one hell of a beefy sprayer, that is. I like the texture of the dirt there. I think that's an improvement, picking it up. And yeah, it's not standing out that I've got any mud on the tyres, but I like the dirt texture and the details of it. I've tried to notice things in cab as well, if we can see that we've got new clothing, or we've got new appearances, because they're very basic, aren't they, at the moment, the appearances that we can choose. Like if I wanted to pick an older male or a younger male, or make him look a bit aged, we can't currently do that. But I've not noticed anything, and it doesn't help that the face is blocked by the side of the cab there. But overall, it's a pretty decent kit. I am looking at this texture now, and I wouldn't mind that as a grass texture, but that obviously isn't a grass texture. That's like an early crop texture. But for a grass texture, it looks quite full, and it would pass as grass for me. And I think I've been saying about grass textures for quite some time now, how I wanted them to be improved going into 25. I didn't think they were very good in the base game on FS22, me personally. But I don't mind that texture. It's an early crop texture. I couldn't guess. It might be wheat, barley, so on. It could even be grass. He might be actually spraying grass, but it looks really good. Now, if I was going to guess, actually let me know in the comment section, do you think that is a crop early texture? It kind of reminds me of Bullet Bill's like early barley texture, or his early wheat texture, but do you think that's a grass, or do you think that is a crop? Because you could tell me it's grass and I believe you, and at the same time, you could tell me it's an early crop texture, and I believe that too. But I do like the textures overall. I think they are improved, and that, you know, the fact that everything looks more full is a big bonus going into the next game. Right, let's have a look at this then. Not bad at all. £420,000, 400 horsepower. CVT again, 750 litres of fuel it can hold. It's got a speed that's pretty fast, that is, 37 miles per hour on the road, but 15 miles an hour working speed. It can go up to 54 metres, so you can configure that to be as wide as 54 metres as a spray, which is incredible. That's like 2 passes on a field. 8,000 litre capacity, can either hold fertiliser or herbicide. Again, looking at the improved visuals of them kind of icons for all the different fill types and products. Yeah, I do like them. I think they've improved. I mean, you think about FS19. Half the time you couldn't figure out what was what. It was all just one colour. So the fact they've added colour in going into 22 was a big thing. But I feel like they're more defined now, and they do look better. Right, so John Deere fans, here we are. The 3650. Obviously, George would hate me for this, but I really like that John Deere. I think it looks superb. What I like about it the most is just the age. You can't go wrong with an older tractor. I think they just look better in the past. You know, the older Fords, the older, everything really. The Massey Fergusons especially, but this John Deere looks the same. And I do like the look of this 3650. And I know in FS22 we started off with not a really old version of a John Deere, but we did have an older version, that's 7810 I think it was, or 78 something, I've forgotten, but it was definitely an older version than the more modern John Deeres that we're seeing. But I really like this 3650, and it is probably going to be one of the tractors I want to try out first in the base game. It looks good, but again, I've got no soil textures there, have we? We've got no build up of soil or dirt in the tyres. It must be when it's raining. It has to be. But I can see a bit of soil deformation here before the planter hits and obviously does its thing. But yeah, really good. And we've finally got Great Plains as well, which is a big US brand. And I know American fans are going to really like that as well, because we've had a few mods that I've seen with Great Plains, but we haven't seen it in the base game. So console players will get to try that out as well. Now, looking in the cab again, John Deere outfit there. Looks to me like that kind of generic young-looking face. Don't think we can see anything there that says, the player's going to be customizable with age and appearance in that regards. But yeah, he's fully kitted out there with John Deere. He's clearly on a demo day. He's gone out demoing for the day. Right. Yeah, I really like the look of that tractor. I do. That 3650 is winning me over. I think it's one of the first I'm going to try out for sure. 45,000, so not too expensive. 116 horsepower. Doesn't say that we can got a variation there, that we can go up to certain, we can go up any higher or we can do lower. So it must just be fixed at that. It's got manual and power shift, 118 litres in the tank for fuel, and a 21 mile an hour top speed on the road. So pretty good, pretty good. But let's have a look at this solid stand 1500 Great Plains seeder. Now, it is a proper seeder. It's not a planter, because we can see that the crops that we're obviously putting in. I love it how they've got the question mark there still, but we all know that the next 2 crops that are coming, as well as spinach and the 2 rices, is going to be green beans and peas. We all know it. It's been confirmed. So I think they don't need to keep putting the question mark up there, but let them do that just for the mystery of it. But yeah, it's a seeder, 49,500 is how much it's going to cost. 110 horsepower requirement. So obviously this up here just about pulls it. It's got that extra 6 horses, just making sure it doesn't struggle. The thing that stands out for me about this seeder, and I always look at this when I'm playing the game, you start off like, if you're playing like a start from scratch, you haven't got much money, it's not too dear. Neither's the tractor. For less than 100 grand, you're going to be able to get this combination here, the tractor and the seeder, but it's 4.6 meters. That's a decent, planting width for that price and that horsepower requirement. So I'm very happy with that. Again, this might be one combination I start with because I just like the look of it. It really does tick the boxes for like a start from scratch, not starting with loads of money. So it can hold between 1,200 and 1,800 litres. I guess there's some increase on capacity there. So that's the amount of seeds we can hold. 7 miles an hour working speed, so not too bad. That's not too bad. And we can plant in, this is obviously just standard now, but we can plant in wheat, barley, oats, canola, Looks like that's the dry rice, the long grain rice, and then we've got oilseed radish, grass, spinach, and I'm going to guess that the other one's probably peas, I'd imagine, but I don't know. I'll have to wait to see on that. Right, so that's all the fact sheets, but I'm quickly just going to go over some stuff that I actually just put a few posts out that I missed in a video. I just thought I'd give all the information since the last time I did a video. And this is a picture that we got yesterday from when I'm recording about this farm shop. It's like your farm, your shop. It's a small little fresh produce shop that even says small farmer kiosk that we're obviously going to be able to place down and sell our own produce on the edge of our farm and so on. But what I do like is I imagine all this stuff's going to come from, majority of it is going to come from things like greenhouses and things like that. But we have got things like the parsnips, the carrots and the grapes and the spinach that we're going to get from obviously harvesting in fields. But there's a few things that are standing out to me there that are new. So you've got the strawberries and the tomatoes, which are greenhouse items, but then we've got some red chilies, we've also got some mushrooms, and then what looks like to be like spring onions or like a leek or something, but I think it is spring onions. Now my guess would be that the chilies, the mushrooms, the spring onions, things like that are going to be another item we can put into greenhouses. I know they've kind of done extra stuff in greenhouses, like we've obviously got the saplings now for the rice, so we can create our own rice saplings to plant in with through the greenhouse system. So it's interesting to see this, but I do like the idea of putting it onto your own little farm shop, because all them small things you did, they never brought loads of money, but if you could just kind of put them to your farm shop, maybe that'll give you some more incentive or some way to kind of keep doing that. But the more little things they add in, the more gameplay features they do, the more the game feels busy, and for that it's obviously better as well. So yeah, thought I'd point this out. It's nice to have these small farmer kiosks, but I like the fact that they're trying to point down the path that it is going to be a kind of a placeable, so it's not just kind of built into the map. And yeah, super interesting. Looking forward to trying it out. Hopefully we can get some productions that also feature in things like that. Last thing I want to talk about is the buffalo. Now, we had some information about the water buffalo that come to the game, and it would give away quite a bit of information. And the main thing I want to focus on is grazing. Now, not got all the information on this, and I know Giants have confirmed that they will be putting out some more information going into depth on the grazing, but they have confirmed technically that grazing will be happening within the pastures of your animals. So that won't be all pastures. There has been some pictures put out in the past where I think it was like a pig enclosure and it was soil on that ground. So yeah, I imagine if you've got grass in there, then it's only going to apply to that. Now, I don't know if that's going to go into the feeding. I hope it does. If the grazing off it, you'd hope that would take some, be used to account for some of the feed. It will be visual as well, so we'll see it gradually be go down. You can see the difference in grass there, and I have mentioned that before previously in some pictures before that I thought the grass in the pasture areas and enclosures did look different, but the buffalo actually are pretty interesting. They went into detail about the sturdiness of the animal and how it's kind of quite a friendly animal, but it also gives off new productions. So if I go to another picture, let's go back. There we go. We've got one here, which is a picture of some buffalo milk. So we can use that now directly, sell it different to kind of normal cow milk, just normal milk. And we can also make some, it seems like mozzarella. Now, I don't know if the mozzarella is made directly from buffalo milk. I'm not sure. Or it can be something that we also make with, cheese from milk coming from a goat or coming from a cow. I don't know the actual history of mozzarella. I don't know if it is actually from buffaloes. I'm not sure. I know it tastes nice on a pizza, so I'm very happy with mozzarella being in the game. But yeah, it's interesting that we've been shown these productions as well. We've learnt a bit about the buffaloes, the baby animal side of it. We've got 2 new productions from it, which is going to be the buffalo milk and mozzarella. And I think, we should expect to see a few more productions as well. I don't think it's just going to be that. So I think, it's probably some of the news we're going to get closer to the release is going to be a bit of focus on the productions, because we haven't really heard too much about productions. I'll leave it as well on this John Deere 3650 picture. What a stunning tractor that is. But yeah, I'll keep you up to date. If I get any more news, I'll make sure to put it out. I just want to also quickly thank everyone that's helped support the channel and used my partner code when pre-ordering FS25 through Giant. big shout out to you. I'm literally on the verge of hitting silver now. I'm a couple orders away. By the time this video comes out, I might be already there. So thank you so much for all the support you give me. Honestly, as a community, you're the best, and I feel incredibly lucky to have you supporting me, supporting the channel. So thank you so much for that. Really does mean a lot. Right, I best stop faffing. Best get back to recording this farmhand video. So thank you for watching. Hit the thumbs up if you've enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. And I'll see you in the next one. See you, everybody.